Hello, my name is Wesley Knust, and for my SongShare project, I will be analyzing Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover was released as the lead single to Paul Simon's 1975 album, Still Crazy After All These Years. This was Paul's fourth album as a solo artist. The song became a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 1976, where it stayed on top of the charts for 3 weeks. The form to this song is pretty simple. It starts off with an introduction, 2 verses, then the chorus repeats twice. There are 2 more verses, the chorus repeats twice more, and then there's an outro. One interesting thing to note is that there is no bridge in this song. We'll discuss some of the formal elements in the song as we move through the presentation. Lyrics and lyrical interpretation. So in this song, in the verses, a woman is trying to convince the narrator that it would be easy for him to leave his lover. And the lyrics say things such as, "The answer is easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover." And in the chorus, the woman lists all the ways the narrator could possibly leave his lover. It's never explicitly stated what the woman's motivation is for telling Paul these things. There are different ways you can interpret this. For example, why is the woman trying to lure the narrator away from his lover? Would this be for her own gain? Paul never explicitly states this in the song. If not, what motivation does the woman have for convincing the narrator to leave his lover? Given the laundry list of names in the chorus, perhaps it's meant to be a generic form of advice for anyone looking for a way out of a relationship. By keeping the interpretation vague, Paul allows us to put our own interpretation on the lyrics. Rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme is pretty consistent in the song. In the verses, the first 3 lines of each verse tend to rhyme. For example, in the first verse, the words me, logically, and free at the end of the first 3 lines all rhyme. Whereas in the chorus, the middle 2 words of each line tend to rhyme. For example, back and Jack, Coy and Roy, Bus and Gus, and Key and Lee. Instrumentation. The song begins with a snare drum solo that is eventually joined in by an acoustic guitar. These instruments also accompany the verses. During the chorus, these instruments are joined by the drum set, bass guitar, and organ. Adding instruments in the chorus is a way for Paul to kick up the intensity level. This also provides contrast to the softer, sparser accompaniment in the verses. Just like the song begins with a snare drum solo intro, there is also a snare drum solo outro. This provides a bookend of sorts for the song. Harmony and counterpoint. Paul uses contrasting progressions and textures to illustrate the lyrical differences between the verses and the chorus. The verse features much more contrapuntal harmony in the key of E minor. I have provided an analysis of the chords and their outer voices to illustrate the counterpoint used. One interesting facet used here is the Andalusian cadence. The Andalusian cadence is a harmonic progression which moves from the 1 chord to the flat 7 chord to the 6 chord to the dominant, like this. Paul uses an inversion of the 1 chord the first time he uses the progression to provide a subtle variation. Another facet worth noting is the use of unprepared 9/8 suspensions. Paul could easily have prepared these suspensions like this. But instead, he chose not to prepare them. This uneasy sound illustrates the tension in the lyrics. Paul contrasts the complex harmonies in the verses with simpler chordal textures and harmonies in the chorus. He's moved to the relative major, in this case G major, in the chorus. There is still some subtle minor key flavor as he chooses to use the borrowed flat 3 chord. I will now play the progression used in the chorus. Something worth noting here is that the progression is very similar to a 1-4-5-1 progression. This quote-unquote failure to use an authentic cadence indicates that, while things may seem clearer lyrically in the chorus, there is still not a final resolution to be had. The elements we have discussed illustrate why this song is a great model for songwriting. Paul uses contrast in many ways between the verses and the chorus, including contrasting lyrics, harmonies, textures, instrumentations, and rhyme schemes. All of these contrasts work together to paint a musical picture which supports the lyrical content. This song is a masterclass in the subtle ways different elements of a song can illustrate the lyrical content. The lyrical ambiguities allow the listener to put their own interpretations on the song, which may or may not be informed by their own life experiences. These ambiguities reward repeated listenings, which can produce new meanings each time. And that's the end. Thank you for listening to my presentation.